my channel today. I thought I should start with an update on Sister. Here is Sister. She's growing quite rapidly. All of her feathers are pushing out the down, coming in. She's got this cute little fluffy tail. Let's show off one of your feathers here. Yeah, she's a lot of fun. I do love my chicks. You can't see it, but there's some down falling. I think it's time we put Sister back with her other friends. Sister, can you say goodbye? There you go. Sister is back in her pen with her other friends. And you know, I think it's going to be easier to quilt with the chick than it is to be quilting with a chick running around your room. But I'll keep giving you updates on Sister. She is kind of fun to have. Let's talk about the quilt on the back of my design wall behind me. It's a gingham quilt, super simple, made with 5-inch squares. Let me tell you about how easy it is to make. And then I'm going to show you a bunch of pictures of other gingham quilts that I've made. Now, specifically the dimensions, it's 58.5 inches wide by 67.5 inches long. And that is for a purpose. I like to put cuddle, which some of you call minky, but it's really cuddle, on the back of my quilts from the Shannon Company. And I like to do it without having a seam in the cuddle. And the cuddle comes 60 inches wide or 90 inches wide. Well, I happen to have a bolt of the 60-inch wide for this quilt, and that's what I want to use. I also have the directions on a PDF on my website, and you can go to my website, sisterchicksquilting.com, and download that for free. I have 3 different fabrics selected. This is my main fabric, and it's the dark. Your main could be the dark, the light, or the whatever you want, but I chose this. It's by Art Gallery Fabrics, and it's got little strawberries on it, and it's called Darlings, and it is quite darling. I chose a Bella Solid for my light. My medium is an Art Gallery Solid. I just love the feel of these fabrics working together with them. Now, of the dark, you want to buy 1 yard of fabric. Of the light, you want to buy 1 yard of fabric. And of the medium, you want to buy 2 yards of fabric. For the binding, you're going to need a 1/2 yard, and I bought an additional 1/2 yard of this Darlings fabric. I thought that would be really cute on the binding. Then you're going to need 2 yards of the 60 wide cuddle for the back of your quilt. And that, again, you can use that without a seam. We can go ahead and get started quilting right now. So I'm making the number 1 row, which is the row on top, and it's a dark row. So I sew together a dark and then a medium, a dark and then a medium. And I do that 6 times. And then at the very end of the row, I make sure I add 1 more medium on one of the, or let me see. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, I add 1 more dark because we want a dark on the outside, okay, of every block. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here's number 6. Notice I have a directional fabric, and so I'm keeping the directional fabric going the same way. Then I take my very first one that I sewed. Here you are. And we're going to put another dark one on the end of that. Okay, now I'm going to do a medium and a light row. It will be row number 2. So I'll start with my medium, and I'm going to square up one of my lights. And I'm going to sew this just the way I sewed the other one, the other row. But I wanted to get this row done before I went to the iron because I'm going to show you the pressing trick on this quilt. All right? Whoops. So these are just 5-inch squares, by the way, that I've cut. So the finished square is finished at 4.5 inches. And that's how we get this size. Each row has got 13 blocks across. And the quilt has got, I'm pretty sure, 15 rows down. And when you'll be able to go onto my website, which is sisterchicksquilting.com, and you can download a free PDF pattern that tells you exactly how to cut this and how to stitch this. And whoops, there we go. Now the very last row, I'm going to go back and take the first one that I did, and I'm going to put a medium on top of that light, getting it evened up. We'll stitch it down. Then I'm going to cut my fabrics apart, my little squares apart. And I'm going to put this row together just the way I put the first row together. Every other square, right sides facing right sides. So 2 of these fabrics that I'm sewing together right now are solids. And there's not really, I dare you to try and find the right side. It's really difficult to do. So just 2 more stitches and I'll have 2 complete rows. Let me put this together correctly. This is our last stitch to sew this row together with. All right, now let's take these 2 rows to the iron. I'm at my pressing table. I remember on top of my calyx, which I love, love, love. Let me show you how I press these 2 rows so they seams really nest, and it makes the construction super simple. I've got my light and my medium, and I've pressed them so they all go one way, and it may look like I'm pressing this one to go the same way as well. It's just easier because I'm a right-handed presser. And I'm going to press these all the same way too. The same direction is good. Now normally we tell you to press to the dark side, but in this case the dark side fabric is not going to show through this medium, and also the medium fabric, the little seam, is not going to show through to the light fabric. So when you get your row pressed like this, I'm going to turn it over this way and just turn it the other way from when I pressed it. And I want you to notice that on this row, all of the seams go this way. And on the dark and the medium row, all of the seams go this way. That allows us to nest those seams perfectly. I'm at my sewing machine and I want to show you about nesting the seams. So this side, you can see the direction they go, and the other side, they go the opposite direction. And that allows you to line those seams up because there's a little ridge created by that seam, and you just put them together in that little ridge, and they just kind of hang on to each other and stay real nicely. You can put a pin in if you want. Sometimes I sew with a pin. Sometimes I don't. This one is not necessary. And then you just sew away. Again, this is the outside of the quilt, so I started with a little teeny tiny back stitch. So when it goes on the long arm, it's not going to come apart. Here's the next seam. Now I have to tell you a funny story about nesting. On the very first quilt I made, I followed the instructions explicitly. It was a French braid quilt, and as I was putting the braids together, I noticed that the seams nested. And I thought, oh my gosh, look what I've invented. No, I didn't invent the nesting seam. It's been around a lot longer, but I joke about that. And it should make you feel a lot better to know that you're sewing along with the inventor of the nesting seam. In no time at all, we're going to have a finished row. Get that all tucked under so it all goes the same way and it'll lay nice and flat. Okay, and here's our we're on the home stretch here. We've got one more seam to go. And it lines up at the end just perfectly. Give it a little back stitch here. And there you have it. Let's see. How does it look? I finished stitching the quilt. Don't you think it's just darling? It is the easiest and most fun quilt to make, and people just love them. I made some for family members at Christmas time, and oh my gosh, they just love their quilts. You know, I promised the engineer I wouldn't say love, love, love anymore because it drives him crazy, so don't tell him. But I do want you to know that you can find this pattern on my website under sisterchicksquilting.com. It's a PDF download and it's free, so feel free to download it, put it in your files, or share it with anybody that you would like. Now, I have to tell you what I'm going to be doing next week. I have a customer who sent me a patchwork heart quilt with low volume in the background. If you don't know what low volume is, let me show you. These are called low volume prints. And it's because they don't have a lot of ink in them, or a low volume amount of ink in the printing. So they're not very saturated colors. They're usually creams or whites, quite muted, and they'll have like words on them or line designs, things like that. And they're really fun to work with. It's different and it gives a little bit more texture to your background than just a plain white or a plain gray. Nothing against those colors, but I'm just kind of in a low volume mood. And I have a stack of 5-inch stackers I want to use up. Let me show you the fabrics that I pulled for this quilt. Ooh, just don't want to drop them here. Order bins and scraps. Some of it's name brand, some of it is it's just fabric that I had. But it's going to be, I'll cut this into 5-inch squares, and we're going to make that patchwork heart next week. It'll be, again, really fun and easy to follow along with. And again, I will have the pattern on my website, sisterchicksquilting.com. I appreciate you tuning in and following my channel. If you would like to see more, I would love it if you would subscribe. Just hit the subscribe button right down here, alrighty? And until then, goodbye, and the chick and I will see you next week.